repeatedly mentioned, and we reiterate this today, that Al-Aqsa flood on the 7th of October in 2023 was a necessary step and a natural response to face and counter the conspiracies and plots to eliminate the Palestinian cause launched by Netanyahu government with the American administration to take control over the land and to prevail their control over Al-Aqsa Mosque and to continue their brutal and unjust siege against the Gaza Strip. And therefore, such an operation was necessary to put an end to all these in order to rid ourselves of the occupation and revive our Palestinian rights and attain to freedom and independence, just like other peoples of the world, and to retain our right to self-determination and establish our fully sovereign country with Jerusalem as its capital. With the continued aggression in Gaza and the West Bank, and our people continue to fight and struggle for their freedom, setting amazing examples in fortitude, steadfastness against the brutal military and Zionist war machine. We have decided to offer our Palestinian people and to the Arab nations and Muslim nations and to the free peoples of the world and those who support righteousness, those who oppose oppression, those defenders of human dignity. We have decided to submit a document entitled, "This is Our Story, Why Al-Aqsa Flood." This document, we are placing it before the Arab, Muslim, and international public opinion to explain the truth about what ensued in the 7th of October, why this flood was conducted, and what kind of context is related to the Palestinian cause, and to refute the Zionist claims and to put the facts and present the facts as they are. Anyone who wishes can have access to this document either by scanning the QR code or by visiting our page on Telegram. Next topic is about starvation and the famine experienced by the Gaza Strip, with the increased number of displaced people and without provision of any appropriate shelters, and with the scarcity of food supplies and the lack of such supplies in many areas in Gaza. More than 500,000 of our peoples in the northern part of Gaza are perilous and they are risking starvation. We are talking about 600,000 Palestinians, including men, women, and children. All these people are risking starvation, and this is a fact. It's not an exaggeration, as they spend days and days without having any meals due to the lack of food supplies and all sorts of food, including vegetables, canned food, etc., which is the minimum basic life requirements for any human being. This serious catastrophic situation which no words can serve to describe, neither in news or in any statements, the repercussions of which can never be described against 2 million people due to the lack of supply of such aid and supplies. As the people of northern Gaza, they had to ground an animal stock fodder to consume so that they can sustain their lives. Standing before this exacerbating humanitarian situation, which could lead to the increased number of people who die if not killed by the bombardments, they would die of starvation, thirst, and due to their sickness. And therefore, we would like to confirm the following, especially when the entire world is witnessing such a heinous crime without reacting to such crimes. We hold the Zionist government and the Biden and administration full responsibility of all these heinous and brutal crimes perpetrated against our people in Gaza, especially the northern parts of Gaza. Second, we call upon the WHO to take immediate action and announce Gaza as a famine or a zone of famine, and to take necessary measures to stop the exacerbation of such humanitarian catastrophe. We also call upon the UNRWA organization to shoulder their responsibility and perform their duties to deliver all sorts of supplies and aids to all people in Gaza. And this is the UNRWA's legal and responsibility and their mandate as established by the United Nations. We call upon them not to buckle or budge against the threats of the occupation. We also call on an urgent call for aid in coordination with the relevant international organization, and stress the need to allow aid materials either by land, by sea, and by air. And we call upon the Islamic Organization and the Arab League leaders and heads of states of our Arab and Muslim nations to intervene immediately, to exercise pressure to allow the opening of corridors and to send caravans of aid to prevent a real and true starvation of 2 million people in Gaza. And I believe that we don't need here to talk about righteousness. And I would like to remind you that Arabs in the past, they have rejected the blockade against the Prophet Muhammad and his kin. Third, the American position regarding the Palestinian state. Over the past few days, we have monitored and followed the positions and stances as expressed by the war criminal Netanyahu, and claiming that their security would have full control over the entire land, and they stressed their rejection of a Palestinian state who have always denied and rejected the existence of our people and their legitimate rights. We have also monitored and followed up the international reactions, especially the United States administration and President Joe Biden sending messages to reassuring those people who still wager on political solutions or normalization proposals with this Nazi entity by, and I quote what Biden has just said, that Netanyahu doesn't object all existing solutions on the two-state solution, followed by Netanyahu's office few hours later rejecting the statements by Biden and reiterate their rejection of establishing a Palestinian state. This confirms the well-established fact that no one standing before this terrorist and Nazi entity, no party can ensure or guarantee a political solution. On the other hand, such statements only express an American ploy that allows the Israelis the time, and they try to varnish and bleach the image of the occupation, and they seek to integrate such an entity in the region through normalization projects and denying our people their rights. Our message here is very clear to Washington and to President Biden, who's an accomplice in the genocide committed against our people by the forces of the occupation with weapons and arms supplied every day through decisions of the President Biden. They bear the responsibility of every Palestinian drop of blood, be it that of young people, women, or men. And their statements that pretend or claim to support the establishment of a Palestinian state, such statement will continue to lack credibility unless the aggression stops immediately and unless the ordnance, ammunition, and weapons do not stop being supplied to the Israeli entity, and unless such an entity is compelled and bound by an international resolution to stop the genocidal war and the bombardments of civilians around the clock in the Gaza Strip. If they do not do such requirements, they confirm their lack of credibility. We as Palestinians, we have said over and over that we will never agree custodianship over our people, and we will not settle for less than an independent and sovereign Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, and allowing Palestinian people who have been moved out of their towns and villages to return to their homes. And all proposals to circumvent the rights of our people without any content will never succeed. So I advise these parties to spare a valueless effort. Fourth, talking about the escalation in the region, we hold the American administration the responsibility for the escalation we are witnessing in the region by their continued support of the occupation and their aggression. And we would like to stress that reviving and reinstituting calm and peace in the region is conditional to ending the aggression against our people in Gaza and establish the independent and sovereign state of Palestine. And they try to escape their crisis by exporting their crisis outside as they conduct assassination operations and they conduct aggressions against Lebanon, who are supporting our cause. They conduct aggressions against Syria, threatening our security, seeking the help of the Americans to expand the war in the region. This criminal enemy are attempting to attack the sovereignty of countries. Our people and decision makers in the region, they are required to think of the post-Netanyahu era, and after such a Nazi extreme government has fallen, they need to work seriously on getting rid of such a government as a first step on the way to eliminating such an occupation in our land. We in Hamas, we condemn the American classification of the Houthi group in Yemen as a terrorist group, and we condemn the British and the UK aggression against Yemen. And we consider this as a determination, or American determination, to militarize the Red Sea and so in support of the Israeli occupation. And it's a crime against our Arab and Muslim nation. And we support our friends and brothers in Yemen, Iraq, and Lebanon. And we pray for their fallen soldiers, and we commend their support to our people defending the Aqsa Mosque and Jerusalem, fighting a brutal and Nazi occupation that threatens the stability in our entire region. It is a time now to sever the hand of the occupation that conducts aggressions against our people and against the entire region. We reiterate that we shall continue our steadfastness, our struggle, and our people who have always paved their path of struggle with victory.
You've been listening to Osama Hamdan, senior representative of Hamas in Lebanon. Now, he had several messages. He justified Hamas's October the 7th attack, which killed 1,200 people in Israel, saying it was, quote, necessary to free ourselves and establish our right to self-determination. He also warned about starvation in Gaza and the unfolding humanitarian crisis. They are calling on the UN, the World Health Organization, to declare famine in Gaza. He also called on the noted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's recent and repeated rejection of Palestinian statehood.